Hey guys, welcome back to Sports with Mono and Mono. It's November 26, 2022, and we hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving with your family and friends. And welcome back to the show. I'm here, of course, with my partner Steve.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to our show. Happy Thanksgiving weekend.
Yep,
And we have an awful lot to talk about, as always.
we do. We do. So let's just jump right into it, Steve. And our monologue this week is sponsored by Coriano Trucking, of course, of Summerhill, New York, and hope they both had a great Thanksgiving as well. And we give a shout out to them and thanks for their support. So Steve, my monologue this week, it just drives me crazy. I think there's got to be a point, and I'm talking to a former quarterback, so he's going to get this. I am so tired of these guys that are making 20, 30 million dollars. I want the NFL to start putting these guys out to pasture. And specifically, I'm talking about somebody like a Carson Wentz, right? We're not Commanders fans, and I just don't know what Ron Rivera's been doing, but you got to give this kid Taylor Heineke, you got to give him a shot. He's proven that he could win in this league. And you got Carson Wentz who's proven that he can't. And it drives me crazy that they don't make these moves. And there's other things going on, right? Look, the Packers season, that's done. And I'm not saying Rodgers is not a great quarterback. He is. But, now he's dealing with a broken thumb and he wants to stay in there and play. And say, why not give Jordan Love a chance to see if this is going to be the future? Why you drafted him number one? It just drives me crazy. A couple other guys like Baker Mayfield. I mean, how many times are you going to throw this guy out? And what's the alternative there in Carolina? Sam Darnold, another guy on that list. It drives me crazy. Give these young kids a chance. Like, where's this guy, Malik Lewis, right? Willis. Give these kids a shot. And, this brings me to the point about what the New York Jets are doing in benching Zach Wilson. This guy's only had a 15 games maybe in his
20.
professional career, and they were already benching him. You have to give him a shot. If he doesn't pan out, and again, we could bring this into the Daniel Jones conversation, and I know it's a big decision. They started out like a house on fire, 7-1. Now they're 7-4. But I just want these guys to change, right? The Indianapolis Colts, give Sam Ellinger a shot. Matt Ryan, great career, probably going to the Hall of Fame, but it's done. It's over. And, I don't know what's going on in Houston. This Davis Mills, they're going to bench him. What is what's it, Lovey Smith? What has he done, to even warrant being a head coach and then taking Davis Mills out, who hasn't had an opportunity to prove himself? And I always bring this back, Steve, to like when we talk about Terry Bradshaw, who I think is the biggest buffoon in television next to Howie Long. But he was horrible for 3 years. You got to give these kids a shot, and I hope these young kids get an opportunity and put Andy Dalton and all these other guys that haven't won anything out to pasture. Your thoughts?
I understand your frustration. Bit by bit here. Malik Willis doesn't deserve to see the field. Tennessee's doing fine. Ryan Tannehill in Tennessee is in first place.
No, I'm not saying bench Ryan Tannehill.
No. I'm just saying they drafted him for the future. Number one. The big story of the week is Zach Wilson. Listen, I am all on board with the New York Jets doing exactly what they're doing.
I'm not.
I absolutely am. I think Robert Sala's press conference was outstanding. I thought he explained it exactly well. He needs a reset. He needs to sit down. He's inactive today, and he needs to take a damn hard look at himself because you know what? What did Zach Wilson do last offseason after his first year, which wasn't, again, thrown to the fire?
I'll concede that he's immature.
Okay. So to improve himself, what did he do? He's flying all over the place, vacationing. He's in the New York Post, page 6 headlines, this, that, and the other thing. To me, that doesn't help you become a better quarterback, especially in New York playing for the New York Jets. So I think the New York Jets are doing the right thing by benching him, telling him, you better take a deep breath, young man, because this is the only shot you got to resurrect your career.
Yep.
Okay?
Okay.
As far as Washington goes, Taylor Heineke
He's
is
deserved a shot,
he's
right?
the guy. Okay? Carson Wentz, they signed him. Big deal. I mean,
No, but it's back and forth, and
he's not coming back. Heineke has the job right now. Washington has won a few games on them. I understand. Okay, I understand the Matt Ryan thing. Matt Ryan, Jeff Saturday, we talked about taking over. The Colts have
outside
a
chance.
lifeline. So I have no problem playing Matt Ryan until you're officially eliminated.
Okay.
Back to Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers. They were going to play Jordan Love probably the last 4 weeks of the season. It seems as if Packers season is over.
It is.
Aaron Rodgers can, say he wants to play all he wants. Aaron Rodgers is still making $50 million a year.
But you agree to give Jordan Love the shot.
I just said it.
Okay.
I said they were definitely going to.
Thank you.
The last 4 games at a minimum, I would think.
Okay.
As far as Baker Mayfield,
Oh.
Baker Mayfield has now proven that he is not an elite quarterback, but Baker Mayfield will be relegated to being a backup for the rest of his career. I don't foresee him being a starter by anybody. Now, Sam Darnold is starting tomorrow. Now we can laugh all we want about Sam Darnold, but Sam Darnold played a hell of a lot better as a New York Jet than Zach Wilson has gotten off to the start. Sam Darnold, got hurt early on. Sam Darnold got off to a really good start last year. I'm not anointing Sam Darnold that Sam Darnold will be a stud NFL starting quarterback because he's still young enough at age 26 or whatever he is. But let's see what Sam Darnold does tomorrow.
Okay.
Baker Mayfield's a joke. New Orleans, the Jameis Winstons.
Andy Dalton's.
The Andy Dalton. I get that, okay? But it's the state of the NFL.
I got it.
So I don't care if New Orleans pays Andy Dalton 25. That doesn't affect me one way or the other. That's their problem. But the quarterback state of the NFL, yes, the guys that are coming in, these guys aren't, outside of Herbert, right? And the Josh Allens, that Josh has turned out to be, elite, right? So it's uncanny that the NFL quarterback or the scouting, everything that's done with this, and everybody falls in love with this guy from January till April.
Well,
That's why it's the most important position in all of sports, and good luck finding, the man.
But here's another guy that I put into the same category. How many chances can you get to prove that you can't win in this league? And that's Derek Carr in Las Vegas. And I know Kenneth Bowers is a big loyal listener of the show, and he's a big Raiders fan. And he even said, you know what, you've been right all along. And now they're paying him $40 million. It's time to get these guys off the field and give these young kids a chance. That's my point.
I don't throw Derek Carr in there. I think Derek Carr is a very serviceable quarterback. I don't think Derek Carr has had the supporting cast in Oakland to be successful. I really don't.
I disagree.
I think Derek Carr is a perfect guy that definitely needs to change the scenery.
And he's going to be in this league for the next 10 years, but he is proven that he can't win in this league.
I disagree. I just said he hasn't had the supporting cast. He just hasn't. Derek Carr is a damn good quarterback as far as I'm concerned. And if Derek Carr finds a situation like a New Orleans would be an absolutely perfect spot for him.
Or the New York Giants, perhaps?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying Derek Carr needs to find a spot where Derek Carr's 30 years old, probably, maybe 31 at this point.
Yep.
He's got a lot of miles left. Derek Carr's a smart kid. I got no issue with Derek Carr, and I'm not throwing him into this heap of garbage of a lot of quarterbacks that they are in the NFL.
All right. So let's talk about Thanksgiving Day, right? There were some good games. Buffalo got kind of teased a little bit, but they ended up winning. And your Cowboys came out in the second half and just rolled the Giants. And, again, now all of a sudden, 3 weeks ago, Daniel Jones he finally's matured. He's doing this. And everybody loves him again. And after this game, everyone's bashing him again. But your Cowboys proved that they're a better team. Giants were hurt, depleted, and they got rolled on Thanksgiving Day in Dallas. Steve, interesting point though, and I saw Dallas is home on Thanksgiving wearing blue jerseys, and we know their history with blue jerseys. But they showed that they were a much better team than the Giants. I love Dayball though. I think it's finally, we got a coach that we could work with. What does this mean? Is he a believer in Daniel Jones? I don't know. But your team has proven, they're starting to come together. And Micah Parsons, you got to be delighted with that.
Micah Parsons is outstanding. So Micah Parsons had another 2-sack game.
Mhm.
Micah Parsons has 6 games to break Aldon Smith's record of 2-sack games to start a career type of thing. And
Wouldn't have got that.
He's got 6 games to do it. He'll do it. He's a beast. Defensively, the Cowboys, I'm fine with. Dak is still inconsistent. The 2 interceptions on Thanksgiving. The other main concern I have with the Cowboys, of course, is they always lead the league in penalties. And again, they don't disappoint. And that's a big problem because come playoff time, when you have 10 to 13 penalties a game,
it's going to bite you.
It's going to come back and haunt you like it always does. So the Cowboys still have a lot of work to do. Okay, as far as Daniel Jones goes, Daniel Jones, my opinion on Daniel Jones pretty much hasn't changed, meaning Daniel Jones is a nice quarterback. He's got all the talent. He's got all the leadership skills. I think Dayball likes him. But the Giants, I think, have a big problem in the offseason is they can only franchise
one of the two.
I know. And if they're going to franchise one, it's going to be Barkley, I have to think. So Daniel Jones, I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, the Giants are definitely not going to give him. I've said this since day one. Once his rookie deal's up, they are not giving him
45.
They're not going to give it. They're not doing
it.
And it's Daniel Jones. So say the Giants offer him $25 million. Is Daniel Jones going to accept that?
Yes.
Daniel Jones might want to consider.
Of course, here's the pen.
But it's not going to be for 7 years.
I got it.
It would probably be a 2-year, $50 million extension.
Yep.
And Daniel Jones would be crazy not to take it.
Right.
Now, the Giants, because of their 7 wins, are now not in position to take Bryce Young, to take the Will Levitts, whoever the next
a new kid, Drake May at North Carolina.
He's not eligible. Yeah, but he's not eligible.
I know, but I like.
Right, but again, we do this every year. We fall in love with, this kid looks great at here and here and that. I got to say, C.J. Stroud most likely will be the first quarterback taken in the draft. And that leads to, an hour and a half from now, less than an hour, Michigan, Ohio State, which to us is our favorite.
We're going to touch on
our favorite college game. But C.J. Stroud is in there. This kid, J.J. McCarthy on Michigan, this kid looks like a pro quarterback. I'm telling you. Right now, I'm very impressed with him.
We'll get into the NCAA.
But as we're talking about quarterbacks coming in, quarterbacks that are there, quarterbacks that should long be gone. Again, that's why it's the toughest position in all of sports.
Yep. And
finding that diamond in the rough is no easy task.
Okay. So listen, so now we're literally in the home stretch of the NFL. So let's talk about our picks. Steve, I seem to be on a roll. I got 3 in a row again last week, 3-0. And this week here, I'm going to jump right into my picks because we got a lot of stuff to cover this week. So I like New England and New England, Minnesota game. I took Minnesota on Thanksgiving. That was kind of a close game. Mac Jones looks like I kind of like Mac Jones. But Minnesota and Kirk Cousins, that's another guy you can't figure out, but he's got an unbelievable wide receiver. And JJ, who, by the way, just broke Randy Moss's record for the most receiving yards in his first 2 seasons. Pretty good.
No.
Pretty good.
Quite good.
So I got a couple other games here. I got Houston and Miami. And again, this is Lovie Smith, and I wouldn't put my last nickel on Lovie Smith. Miami, my feeling on Tua and Miami, I can't figure that team out. But I like them to win this week. And Atlanta and Washington. And again, I just promoted Taylor Heineke to a starting role. I think Atlanta's on a roll. And listen, we talk about excuse me, guys like Geno Smith having a career year. I think Marcus Mariota's having a good year. So I like Atlanta over Washington. Those are my 3 picks.
Okay.
Steve?
So enjoy your win streak because it's a tough
Doesn't last long.
tough business we're in here.
Well, I can't compete with DraftKings and the officiating on Thanksgiving, but we'll talk about that.
I am going to go. I think a lock, not a lock. I keep saying it's not a lock, but listening to this guy, it's a lock.
This guy being me?
Yes,
Yeah.
this guy being me, my brother, my partner.
Okay.
All right. I love San Francisco at home here. Let's be real. The Saints are coming in. With Christian McCaffrey now is the wild card, but they are the Niners. I'm all in there. The LA Raiders travel to Kansas City, and normally the Raiders do play well in Kansas City. Typically, yes, Devontae Adams is back, but you're playing at Kansas City. I think that's a foregone conclusion that Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs roll.
They're a legitimate team, man.
They do.
They are.
Yeah. Excuse me. The Ram. I'm sorry. I was looking at something wrong. It's the Rams going to KC. The Rams season is done.
Oh, it's over.
It don't matter which LA, Las Vegas or LA team faces there.
Yep.
I love KC at home. That's my other pick. And I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens rolling, heading down to Jacksonville. Lamar Jackson in the sun.
That's a lock here.
Oh, those are my 3 picks.
Good.
I feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, I think Baltimore is really starting to develop into the team that we thought they'd be. The defense is good. Lamar Jackson is great. So I think you're on a good. This ought to bring you out of your hole, Steve.
Oh, I was 3-0 2 weeks ago.
So as Steve mentioned, today is rivalry day in college football, and Steve brought it up before. Him and I probably haven't missed a Michigan Ohio State game in 50 years,
Something like
right? 50, literally 50. But that's huge, and we have all these other games, but this is the game that is going to kick off in 45 minutes, and it's just a day that if you're a college football fan. I don't care who you root for. This is a game that you have to watch, and both teams undefeated for the first time, or only the second time.
Fifth time.
Yeah, but only like the second time in 20 years or something.
Yeah, but it's the 5th time they both come in undefeated.
Yep.
Again, this to me, this is the biggest rivalry game in college football. Obviously, there's discussion for others, but I love reading during the week, the build up to the game. I actually turned Jim onto an article yesterday about the decals. So when you see the decals on Ohio State's helmets and Michigan's helmets, there's a great article, folks, that I highly recommend. Just go to ESPN and search that. But it gives you a great history of how they determine you get a Buckeye. And Michigan is quite different. And how they disperse their helmet decals. But this goes back to actually right before Bo Schembechler actually had a sticker program at Miami, Ohio, took that to Michigan. Woody Hayes was kind of like, convinced by some of his coaching staff that, hey, let's recognize the players here. Okay. My favorite quote of the week, though, for this game goes back to 1968, and Michigan is playing Ohio State. And Ohio State's murdering them 51-3. And after the game, Woody Hayes went for 2, up 51-3. And in the press conference, the reporter asked him, said, "Why'd you go for 2, coach?" He said, "Because I couldn't go for 3."
And when you talk about this,
how great of a line is that?
All week we're seeing old highlights of old Michigan Ohio State games and the rivalry with Bo and Woody Hayes. It's just that's what college football is all about.
And they called it the 10-year war between Woody Hayes and Bo Schembechler.
Yeah.
And war it was. And to this day, again, folks,
I love that Woody Hayes.
We've touted there was a documentary on HBO. It's got to be 5 years old now.
The rivalry.
Yeah, but it's about Ohio State, Michigan. It is. Oh, man.
Spectacular.
Yes, it's spectacular. So I can't wait for kickoff.
Yeah. So
But I
listen,
like Ohio State today. Michigan came in. Michigan was home last year.
it's at the Horseshoe today.
I
Right?
understand that it's at the Horseshoe, but Ohio State's payback. They're number 2. Michigan's number 3. I just think Ohio State's got a little more oomph to them this year, and plus, I think they're motivated by the big loss that they had last year. I'm going with Ohio State, and good luck to our dear friend Robert Whippler's son Luke,
Yep.
who's starting center for Ohio State.
Yep. And listen, some other rivalry games, Notre Dame, USC. This used to be something that you and I would miss for our own funerals, for crying out loud, right? And this is good. Listen, Caleb Williams is showing himself to be possibly now the Heisman front runner that your guy Hooker got tore his ACL.
Yeah,
so
done.
He's done. But you got the Iron Bowl with Alabama and Auburn, right? Doesn't have that lore that it once did. But, that's one of those other games. And
But USC Notre Dame, this is a big game. It's at prime time, 8 o'clock in the Coliseum. Notre Dame again, off to the tough start, but they mauled Clemson, right? So you have to think that Notre Dame has a chance against USC. USC wins convincingly,
and they put up a lot of points.
And Ohio State beats Michigan. Guess who's in the top 4? It's going to be USC.
And that's exactly where I was leading to. Like, I don't see TCU ending up in the Final Four. I don't.
I absolutely do.
I don't.
I absolutely do.
But I do. You're right. Whoever the loser of today's Ohio State,
That
Michigan
means
drops
TCU
out.
will move to 3, and USC will go to 4, and Michigan will drop.
Well, we'll see.
Or Ohio State. Listen, Michigan can beat Ohio State. I'm not, folks. I'm not sitting.
There's no lock
telling
here.
you this is a foregone conclusion.
Gotcha.
These are 2 evenly matched teams.
Yeah.
And Blake Corum, the running back from Michigan, I'm very impressed with him. He's banged up a little bit, but he's the best running back in the country. I would say him and Robinson from Texas, who had a good day yesterday.
He's a stud.
Those are the 2 best running backs in the country.
Good call. Yep. So you got all these other games: Oregon State, Georgia Tech. I mean, it's just this is what the lore is all about. But it is this. I consider this moving day in the top 4.
It is
college
because the
football
selection
day.
show is going to be on Sunday.
Yep. So listen, Steve. Before we wrap up with football, I just wanted to give a shout out. In the Northeast, we talked about the quality of play of these high school teams, and last night in old MetLife Stadium is Bergen Catholic versus Don Bosco, like just absolute 2 powerhouses nationally. And to my surprise, because I told you even before the game, I said I think Don Bosco had a chance. They lose 44-0 to Bergen Catholic.
45-0.
Whatever.
And you and I talked yesterday. I said Bergen lost to Bosco, and Bosco beat him up good in the regular season. I said Bergen Catholic is lying in wait, and they can't wait to take that field.
Yep.
Now, I did not foresee a 45-0 score.
Nobody did.
But congratulations, Bergen Catholic, back-to-back state champs. They
and
won,
DePaul, how
they
about
won
that team?
convincingly. And then DePaul, my dear friend Al Natoli is on the staff. And I coached in Oakland football with Al for 8 years, and dear friend, and Al's on the staff. So DePaul beats Red Bank Catholic. So what's unique, again, friends of the show. Again, congratulations, Al. But Nick Campanelli is the youngest of the Campanelli brothers, from Nunzio to Vito and so on and so forth.
Seems like there's 100.
And Anthony Campanelli, who's been a long-time NFL assistant coach. But Nick Campanelli wins the state title at DePaul, and Vito gets the second one at Bergen Catholic.
Whose son is
Dominic,
the quarterback.
Dominic Campanelli.
Yep.
So do you see a Campanelli theme here in Northeast?
That's a football family.
But that is, and they are the creme de la creme of coaching, and congratulations.
And Steve, Rob and I were just talking about before the show. We talk about the East Coast because that's where we're from, but the West Coast, we understand. The Nader dies and St. John Bosco. So St. John Bosco actually beat Nader Die last weekend. This is the West Coast equivalent of the East Coast powerhouses. So that was, and these are the future NFL players. And that's what makes high school football just as awesome as college football, and just as awesome as the NFL.
Right, games like this, there's eight to probably, I would say six to eight legit D1 talent on each side of the ball.
Hmm.
So that's why this is just,
We love it.
it's just unbelievable.
We love it.
It really is.
So there's just a couple other things before we wrap up, right? The Auburn job, there was speculation Lane Kiffin was going to take it. That's off the board now. I think they're looking at Hugh Freeze.
They are looking at Hugh Freeze, and they probably will hire Hugh Freeze.
Right? And then you were talking about,
And Hugh Freeze used to be, ironically, at
Ole Miss.
Mississippi before
Yep.
Kiffin.
Um,
But that's a creme job. It really is.
It is.
But Auburn can't swing and miss on this one.
well,
They cannot swing and miss.
and it's the same thing in Nebraska. And you actually, I'll give you kudos because you brought up Matt Rule, which I said, I don't know. That's a little. I don't see the fit with Nebraska, but if Trev Albert sees the fit for Nebraska, he must think this is the right guy.
It is, and the reason why is Matt Rule's resume, and you have to throw out Carolina. You just have to. We're just talking college here. Matt Rule is a Penn State guy. Matt Rule played linebacker from '94 to '97 under Paterno. Matt Rule's a defensive guy. Matt Rule, his resume is he took over Temple. Took over Temple when Steve Adazio went to Boston College. And Temple was awful. Rule had a 1-11, 1-10 season, but turned this around in 3 years, where Temple was literally 10-2 and went to a bowl game.
Mm-hmm.
So what did that do for his resume? It attracted Baylor. Now Baylor fired Art Briles because of the insane asylum that was going on down there.
Yeah.
And it took Matt Rule 2 years to turn Baylor from garbage into a top 10 team. Bowl 11-3 season.
Yeah.
So what is Trev Alberts looking at? A guy that can come in and turn this around.
Yeah.
So Matt Rule, I think, is a good hire for Nebraska. He's got work to do, but ironically, Nebraska with their hugest victory in probably over 5 years yesterday, beating Iowa 24-17.
Iowa was huge.
Iowa's a one-loss team, and Matt Rule. Again, this is Nebraska. It's not like he's walking into Temple with garbage in the cupboards.
Yep.
Baylor had obviously better athletes, but Matt Rule's walking into Nebraska.
Yep.
So recruiting, obviously, he has to get the. He's got to get the.
Boy, that's quite a payday for Matt Rule. He got a check for $15 million to get thrown out of Carolina, and he's going to be top 10 paid coaches in college football.
Right.
Cha-ching.
Yeah, it's a good game.
But one other thing, and I wanted to give a shout out to one of our dear friends, former teammate, one of my best friends in the world, Matthew Frasco, Tulane graduate. How about that program, right? They're literally in the top 20 now, which is
the Green Wave.
I'm not saying they're making the playoffs.
No,
I'm just giving a shout out.
That's all.
Yep. The Green Wave. That's exactly. I knew you would get that. Anyway, so Steve, let's move on. The World Cup. You and I watched the USA England game yesterday. Black Friday was, when you think about it, if you're not a soccer fan, and I know Diego's listening, I sent him a text.
Hi, Diego.
But it is exciting. It is the World Cup, and we enjoyed it. But the U.S. is on the brink. They have to actually win to move on. And, we'll see how that goes. They're playing Iran. But I was impressed with this kid, Christian Pulisic, yesterday. He actually showed to me that he's the leader of this team. And they got a lot of other players like McKinney and Reyna and all these other guys. And our St. Joe's Matt Turner, brethren from our alma mater, played starting goalie for the U.S. But, this is moving day again in the World Cup. Without Messi and Argentina got upset. And so you never know how this is going to work out. There's a lot of injuries going on in the World Cup. But this is an exciting time. And we watched it from cover to cover yesterday.
I can't, Diego, I'm trying. I am trying here. You need to know that. But when I'm watching this game in the commentary is essentially, oh, we're feeling each other out here for the first half an hour. And then, oh, nobody, wants to be the guy that makes the mistake. Okay.
But that's broadcast.
I'm talking about the game, what I'm watching. I get that. But
Sorry, Rob, it's big.
I don't know what else to say for me specifically. It is the most boring, exciting thing. I don't even know how to describe it. It seems like there's maybe 5 or 6. Oh, like a header here.
But that's why we watch
I
it.
understand.
And the plays that these guys make, the athlete, and
I am not just in one way. These guys are in great shape. I see the skill. I do. I see the physicality.
Okay.
I do. I see that. However, it just really. I mean, if I knitted, I can knit.
You'd have 3 blankets by
God,
now.
I would have a quilt like Betsy Ross.
I know, but you know what? I'm excited by it, and I'm going to watch it. And,
Listen again. So yeah, I mean, so when you hear news that Argentina loses the Open, right? And now they're playing Mexico today. That's exciting. That's something, right? I'm interested in. That's what I want to see. That to me has drama. Messi, if they lose today, they're done. Type of thing.
Which would be an absolute shocker. And that's what makes this cool.
And then when watching Brazil, as Diego said, Brazil is most likely, one of the top favorites to win this. When you see the skill and speed of Brazil, that's good stuff, right? France is a good team. They played today.
But Steve, what's the one thing that drives me crazy about watching soccer is these guys taking dives. These are world-class athletes. I said, these guys have thighs. They could pull a train up Mount Everest. And they get, a guy cuts them out at the feet and they're rolling around dying. It drives me nuts. And Diego will even concede that.
Right. I played tackle football in the streets of Oakland.
Me too.
Literally, the sidewalks were the out of bounds. Okay, and now we're talking 7, 8, 9 to probably 12 years old.
Yep.
Okay, we're talking tackle football. Okay, and never once did anybody be like,
It is.
You would get road rash, you get burns, you'd get cuts. And guess what? You got back up, and it was 3-on-3 or whatever it was.
Yep.
But it was tackle football.
Yep.
And these are grown men on the plushest of grass you could possibly.
It drives me crazy.
Lay your head on. And I get they're trying to get a penalty, but enough is enough with the theatrics. It turns me the wrong way.
Well, thank God we get to watch Ohio State, Michigan in about a half an hour. So looking forward to it. Let's move on, Steve. Major League Baseball, nothing new on the Judge front. So the free agent gate really hasn't opened yet, but it's probably going to, right after Christmas. I don't know what's going on. I still think Judge stays in New York, but you know what? They're going to throw a lot of money at him, which you brought up time and time again. But really, from a baseball perspective, the season's over. Nothing's really going on. They gave out the awards, so free agency's next. But let's move right on to, I know you hate this, but the NBA. And I actually watched, guess who was 8 for 8 from the field last night? Ben Simmons. And again, you and I both want to see the Brooklyn Nets go down in flames because of everything that's going on. But Kevin Durant's still one of the best players in the league, but they can't break this 500, even though I think they will go on a run. But it's these young guys, and we talked about them, the John Morants and this Gilgeous Alexander in Oklahoma City and Anthony Towns. And I actually saw somebody actually did an article about the parity. And this is something that you and I have talked about on this show for the first time in years. There's more parity in the NBA than I think in the past 25 years. I mean, can't still watch it until the playoffs come, but your Knicks, they're hovering around 500. Jalen Brunson was a good pickup, but is that going to push them over the top? What are your thoughts on the NBA, Steve? Please.
Well, I'm actually going tomorrow.
To what? A Knicks game or
I'm
something?
going to a Knicks game tomorrow.
Oh.
Yes, against the Memphis Grizzlies and
Oh.
Ja Morant.
It's worth seeing.
My boss he gave me 2 tickets for tomorrow. Just came about, so why not? Why not?
I guess I'm not going.
Apparently not, because you wouldn't go.
If it's a luxury box, I'd go see a tractor pull.
If it was a luxury box, you'd be going. That's why I didn't ask.
Well, enjoy your game, but like I said, the NBA for me.
What am I gonna? I'm supposed to enjoy driving across the George Washington Bridge for $9,000 and parking for $9,000.
Take the train.
Yeah.
That's what you should. It goes right to Madison Square Garden.
Right.
Take the train.
As far as the NBA goes, again, it's early. Ben Simmons, yes, I hope the the Brooklyn Nets implode.
I do too.
I hope Kyrie has another controversy. Hope Kyrie decides, maybe in January he wants to take a couple weeks off, this, that, and the other thing.
Well, they'll be allowed to. He has unlimited personal
I love
time.
the fact that the Lakers are not off to such a good start, and the commissioner is having a tough start to the season.
Commissioner being LeBron James for our new listeners.
Yeah, but I mean, again, the teams remain the same. Giannis is playing lights out. Doncic, again, the top 5 players are the top 5 players.
Yep.
No question about it. To me, it's still early.
And I could, with the NBA, I mean, I could watch Giannis play. I could watch Doncic play. I could watch Morant play. I love this stuff.
But the only reason I'm going, honestly, is to see Ja Morant live.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Good. So college basketball, Steve, is underway.
You and I watched North Carolina yesterday. I had to leave for the right around halftime. I think it was.
They lost that game.
I'm not surprised they lost again. I think it's good that they lost again. You need, because you need to lose. You need to have 1 or 2 or 3 losses. Nobody's going undefeated like our beloved 76 Hoosiers. It's not going to happen. We've seen too many great teams from UNLV with Larry Johnson and all that stuff, to Phi Slamma Jamma, to Georgetown with Ewing.
Yep.
We've seen dominant, great teams.
And isn't it so funny that how you and I, we're college basketball aficionados, like we never missed the big game, haven't missed the championship game, and then they go to the NBA, and I could take it or leave it until the playoffs. It's funny.
Right. But again, hoops, it's still too early. I mean, North Carolina, number 1 in the country, 5-0. Wow, 5-1. Ooh,
early.
Duke's got a loss already. I mean, Gonzaga's already lost a couple times. There is no clear cut, team like I just described before.
Well, you got the usual suspects now, right? Gonzaga's up there, and Duke, and North Carolina, and Kansas, and Michigan State, right?
Okay, come tournament time. One will be in the East, one will be in the Midwest, one will be in the West.
Yeah.
One will be, whatever.
I love college hoops, though. I mean,
I do.
We'll talk about that more and more as the season progresses, right? But how about hockey, Steve? I'm going to give you some kudos, although I don't think he's ever going to catch him. But Ovechkin's got 11 goals this year.
He's going to catch him. He's got 700.
He's 8 or 9 behind Gordie Howe for 800, and then
he's got 791.
9.
Then he's going to catch the great one.
This is the most unapproachable record. I never thought even possible. I still don't think it's going to happen. He got a hell of a lot closer than I thought he was after all this time.
Again, the more I think about it, even if he does break it, I mean, Wayne Gretzky's, what does that leave him with? 77 other records, from points to assists to the 212, to the
points in one season,
to 50 goals and quickest and all this stuff. Stanley Cups and everything. Wayne Gretzky is still bar none.
And I like what the Rangers are doing, though. I like what they're doing. I think they got a good team. They got a great coach. They got a great goalie. I like them to to not have that, hangover from last year. I think they're going to be a team.
Yeah.
But look at the Boston Bruins are just tearing it up.
Well, I was just going to lead to the Bruins, but let me finish on the Rangers. My Ranger faithful, I think a majority of them are disappointed in the Rangers right now. And I'm saying, listen, I am just fine with getting off to a nice slow start. We're right there. Okay.
25 games.
I got, listen, play as you are. They'll get better throughout the year. All-Star break. I prefer the Rangers hitting their stride, hopefully, in April and so on and so forth. They will make their acquisition. I'm going on record right now. I really think they're going to make the move for Patrick Kane at the deadline. I really feel that. Drury and Kane are tight. Panarin and Kane are extremely tight. But if Patrick Kane is healthy, that's a sniper we need. So I'm happy on that front.
It's funny you brought that up because yesterday Patrick Kane scored an assist to have the fourth most assists all time by American-born players in the National Hockey League.
Well, listen, Patrick Kane, listen, as a young player in the league, yes, he was kind of a douche and he got into trouble, but he's been fine since. So shifting gears to the Boston Bruins, Patrice Bergeron scored his 1,000th point as a Bruin.
Yeah.
When you talk about class, this guy epitomizes class. He joins Ray Bourque, Johnny Buchek, Phil Esposito was the only other Bruins to score 1,000 points with the Bruins.
Who's the first one? Bobby Orr.
Ray Bourque.
Bobby Orr didn't score
Not
1,000 points
because he got hurt.
They're taking a sawbuck off me on that one.
Yeah, but Bobby Orr is still the greatest. The greatest of
Certainly
the greatest.
Defenseman.
Well, him and Wayne Gretzky are the two greatest hockey players ever played.
Okay.
There's no question.
Yep.
So congratulations to Patrice Bergeron, who's just, like I said, a class act for Boston. And Boston just breaks the regular season home, starting off the season. They're playing sick hockey right now.
How about the Devils?
And again, Boston fires Bruce Cassidy. We talked about it. They hired Jim Montgomery, who had some personal issues as the coach of the Dallas Stars, and to get off to the start that they're at, it's unbelievable. They've won, I think it's 17 now, and they beat. I just read it, 16 in a row.
Yeah.
Rob, can you check that? I'm drawing a blank. Who started the NHL season? I think it was the Florida Panthers. That's what it was. It was the Florida Panthers a couple of years. It might have been last year, actually. They broke that, and for the home, winning consecutive games at home.
Devils won 13.
And the Devils, yeah. I mean, we have to bring them up. We haven't talked about the Devils in 5 years, probably since Brodeur really retired.
But now they got this new kid, Jack Hughes.
Jack Hughes is starting to lead the team.
Right.
And this guy was a consensus #1 pick 3 years ago.
Yep.
And the Devils, slowly but surely, they've been terrible, so they've been able to get this draft capital, and they're hitting. Yep. So they're selecting good players, and they're making strategic signings, and the Devils are playing good hockey. So,
they are.
You got to watch out for them.
Yeah, like I said, the hockey is the longest season in all of sports, but this, what are we, 25 games in, and you got the same guys, that are the stars of the league. We talked about the Morants in the NBA and those kind of players, but, hockey is, like I said, it's such a long season, but I love seeing guys like Connor McDavid and these guys lighten it up. And, already like this is like Connor David's fifth year in the league. Remember, he came into the league like I don't know where the time is going, but these are, it's real bright for the NHL. They got a lot of young talent, and it's kind of like the redheaded stepchild of sports for some reason. But you and I appreciate it, and we're gonna watch it.
Yeah, no question about it.
So enjoy your time at the Knicks game tomorrow, Steve. It's interesting. Have a good time. You're right. It's going to be probably $40 to park, which is why it just drives me crazy. But you know what? It's a sporting event, and you apparently earned your stripes. So going with the big boss should be a good time. Steve, let's move on to our random points of interest and something that kind of went under the radar. And to be quite honest, it almost blew me away that the all-time Notre Dame sacks record was broken. And we knew Justin Tuck was the all-time Notre Dame sacks leader. And look at the players that they've had over the course of time. Isaiah Foskey
Sure.
breaks Justin Tuck's record. And I saw a post-game interview with him afterwards. And what a classy kid, what a humble kid. But that's a big record in Notre Dame history. But of course, I wanted to mention that our random points of interest are always brought to us by Lynch Toyota of Manchester, Connecticut. And Mike, I hope you had a great Thanksgiving and hope you enjoyed the Manchester road race, which we plugged last week. Big success, second oldest race in the country.
Oh, I'm sure there was some road rage involved in a race.
But no, that was awesome. But how about that for this kid Fotsky? I really, like I said, when we see a guy that excels at what he does and is an absolute classy quality kid,
We like it.
we call him out on this show. I love it. You have any random points? What one thing in sports, Steve, did you see this week that said, look, scratch my head on this one?
Love it. Ready? Los Angeles Chargers defensive lineman Morgan Fox is a proud dad after his French bulldog Winston won Best in Show at the National Dog Show on Thanksgiving Day.
Oh, give us the tie-in to the name Winston.
Well, Winston is a French bulldog, and the fiance to Mr. Fox gave the dog as a puppy, and I think it's fantastic.
But Winston, the dog, is Corey Cole named his dog Winston.
Well, of course.
Right.
So we have history with Winston's.
Yep.
Our dear listener, Corey Cole's dog's name is Sir Winston.
Yep.
After the Kentucky Derby winner.
Yep.
And
was that the Westminster Dog Show?
No. It's up there. It's the second one. The Westminster is very hooty-tooty, as we know.
Well, French bulldogs are the new fashion statement.
To me, I saw it and I loved it. We're dog lovers beyond. We love dogs, and I think that's cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So here's another one. And again, I bring it up with bile, climbing up my esophagus. This Trevor Bauer thing, and we talked about that. I said he's never going to pitch in the major leagues again, but this all ongoing court battle. This guy is an absolute animal, and this strikes one for the victims of a Trevor Bauer. Judge threw it out, said, no, she's got all the rights in the world to follow through on this. This wasn't consensual. This was animalistic behavior, and you know what? We talk about the rights of women and everything, and they deserve it. But this Trevor Bauer should never ever be able to put a baseball glove on and walk on a major league field again. I'm sorry. And
again, my thoughts are let it run through the courts.
Right.
There's two sides to every story, and again, listen. With two people doing a bedroom behind closed doors.
But when there's more than one that says this isn't, I didn't sign up for this.
That's all I'm saying.
So, want to give him a disgusting.
Let the legal system iron this out.
Okay.
This is above my pay
grade. Okay, and it's worth noting because we admonish that kind of behavior, and we praise classy behavior, and there's no room in any sport for somebody like this. So, Steve, let's move on, unfortunately, to our notable passings. And as our sister texted us, we actually brought up Phyllis George passed away, right? One of the pioneers of female sports broadcasting. She passed away less than a year ago. And her husband, John Y. Brown, former Kentucky governor, who my sister has met over time and time again and said he was just an absolute classy guy. And that's a big loss, but ironic, when one partner goes, the other one's not too far behind. But we wanted to give a shout out to Governor Brown from Kentucky.
Yes, very much so, John Y. Brown. Yeah,
Yeah.
we knew all about him and lived to be what 90+ years old, I think.
And as our sister would say, he was devilishly handsome.
Yes, he was. And Phyllis George was to me,
Oh, in her heyday
as
was.
a teenager, forget about it.
You bet.
Beautiful.
Steve, another passing in the world of sports, Gourmet Salomon, right? Former Toronto Maple Leafs hockey player, Swedish guy, classy guy on and off the court. And, God, again, he just found out like less than a year ago, he was starting to have these issues, and it was ALS, right? Also known as Lou Gehrig's. So you hate to see a guy, when he's a preeminent athlete in his sport, and unfortunately, this is life, as we say. But he was 71 years old, and what's notable more about him than his classiness on the ice, he was the first European elected to the National Hockey Hall of Fame. How about that?
That's great. I mean, we remember Boreas Salmon. You know,
Number 22.
Yeah, 21.
21.
I remember him like it was yesterday. And this is the feel-good aspect about this. And again, when you're talking Lou Gehrig's disease, there really is no feel-good. But Toronto was able to honor him. I think it was only a couple of weeks back that
Good.
they were able to honor him, and he was present for that. And, or if he wasn't there in person, he was aware that the city of Toronto revered him and thanked him, and it's a tough story.
And it's been a tough year for the National Hockey League, losing legends like Mike Bossy and Clark Gillies, and these guys, guys that we grew up watching, and that's why we're hockey fans, and we appreciate that talent. But this was certainly worth noting on Sports with Mono and Mono.
So R.I.P.
Yep.
Logan Miller, hi, Grandpa.
Oh, hey, buddy. Who, by the way, just completed his first season.
Hi, Logan.
What's up, Logs?
Hello, Uncle Steven. Hellos.
Hope you had a good Thanksgiving, buddy. And
happy Thanksgiving, Logan.
God, was I so proud of him playing football this year. He just did wonderful, and it was his first season on the field, and this is what it's all about. And both Steve and I started at relatively the same age, 8 or 9 years old, and we haven't looked back since. But I'm very proud of you, buddy. Thanks for checking in with us.
Nice to hear from you, Logan. Love you, buddy.
You too, big time. All right, Steve. One other notable passing from the world of entertainment. A lot of people might not know the name Irene Cara, but I know you do. 63 years on the soundtrack.
What a feeling!
Soundtrack to Flashdance. This was a mega hit for her. She was a good-looking, talented 63. That's pretty young.
Wow, yeah.
I don't know a lot about the details, but
Irene Cara, totally.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, she was super talented.
Yep.
I'm going to be 58 and relatively soon, and what are you, like 43 now? But she was.
I may look 43, folks,
but she was right in our wheelhouse growing up. So when Flashdance came out,
big
in
hit.
the 80s, so on and so forth, high school, college.
Yep.
Yeah. So R.I.P. Irene Cara.
Yep.
That's a shame.
63.
Yeah.
So Steve, I just again, what this show means to us is the people that listen to it and the fans, that we get tons of feedback from people, and we, to all our fans, again, we hope you had a great Thanksgiving, and guys like Mike Garvey and Diego, these are our loyal listeners. And
Jeremy Bennett, my dear pal.
Jeremy has been with us, and Corey Cole. These are people that makes us happy to do the show, because they appreciate some of the things that we cover. And we may not always be right, and you're right, Steve. I won't be 3-0 in my picks every week, but
I will.
That's why they play the game. And listen, today is the Ohio State-Michigan game, so unless it's our funeral, that's what we'll be doing.
Right. Anybody got any questions? No, good. Yeah, I got an Ohio State-Michigan game.
But if you do have questions or comments, send us an email at sports.
And Tony is another loyal listener Tony.
And where are you, Tony?
I heard from Tony. Happy Thanksgiving on the side.
Okay.
Appreciate it, Tony.
Good.
And Miriam, our new listener down in Washington, D.C., is gathering the troops down there.
Good.
Getting the word out about sports of mano a mano in the D.C. area.
Excellent.
So hopefully you guys can have a little debate about Wentz and Heineke and what the hell's going on down there.
That's a Vince Lombardi quote from the Super Bowl, which was awesome.
So,
but thank you, everybody. Yeah. And again, please send us an email at sportswithmanoandmano@gmail.com. And we're growing. And
Don Orlowski, Jim, right? Don's a loyal listener.
Well, we gave a shout out to Don's daughter Casey a couple of weeks ago.
That's right.
Sport athlete at SUNY Cobleskill. But this is why we do it. We enjoy it, and we love hearing from you. And folks, again, hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Christmas right around the corner, but we'll be back here next week with the next episode of Sports with Mano and Mano.
And thanks to our producer Rob. Happy Thanksgiving, my friend, and we thank you immensely for what you do to help us get the show up to where we're at, and we look forward to bigger, better things going forward.
Yep.
And then when we get a nice little comment from the youth, Logan James Miller.
That was a bonus surprise for me. I didn't see that coming. That was not staged.
That was not staged, folks.
Thank you.
Right. That's live TV at its best, folks.
And that kid makes my heart melt, and his brothers and sisters too. So thanks, everybody. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the game, and we'll see you right back here next Saturday.
Bye.
Have a good time.